New Netflix movie Maestro tells the life story of legendary conductor Leonard Bernstein and wife Felicia Montealegre, played by Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan, directed by Cooper himself in a movie that was kind of passed around. Originally, Scorsese was tipped to direct it, and then Spielberg was they both produce on this. Off a script that he co-wrote himself with Josh Singer. The story tracks Bernstein from his first major opportunity in 1943 up as far as 1987, charting the complex relationship with him and Felicia while also engaging in a string of affairs with men. That's Leonard, not Felicia, by the way. The time jumping element gives Cooper a chance to show so much dynamism behind the camera, and the 1940s part of the movie immediately feels really exciting and urgent, with an old-timey kind of theatrical slapstick energy consistent with movies of that era. It reminded me kind of The Artist, which sees that fashion of filmmaking as a unique style unto itself and not just a now redundant product of its time. And the movie gradually evolves in style along with the timeline as we age up the characters, and Cooper and Mulligan are responsible for kind of seamlessly guiding us through that evolution. Let's not bury the lead, though. The main talking point here is the performances. Cooper here has attracted a bit of controversy with people complaining about kind of putting on Jew face or gay face as well. Really, people are saying that. I don't know what gay face is supposed to be, but people are accusing him of it. But here he is actually completely unrecognizable as Bernstein, and this performance will likely, for me, if you're not offended by those things, it will elevate how you feel about him as a performer. This is very much not the Bradley Cooper performance that we're used to, where he's kind of a likable, cheeky chappy. Instead, it's about as distinct and detailed a character portrayal as you're likely to see this year, where he adds meaning, depth, nuance, and subtext, not only to every line delivery he has, but every kind of step, every blink, every drag of a cigarette. It's an absolutely astounding performance for me if you can get past the makeup side of things. No doubt awards are very much in his near future, and I look forward to seeing him get his flowers, but also don't be surprised if promising young woman star Carey Mulligan sneaks up and ends up getting awards too, because for me, she's actually the star of this movie. Even though it is the Bradley Cooper show, it is Mulligan's Felicia who is kind of the emotional pendulum that this movie swings on, and she goes beat for beat with him throughout. Only through Felicia do we really kind of appreciate the weight of Bernstein's secrets, and she shows us the weight of kind of living with it over decades too. The soft strokes that they play it with kind of opens us up to kind of asking questions of the characters, like, is Bernstein a victim of growing up in an era not capable of understanding him? For example, when we first see him experience success, we witness him being recommended that he even just change his name so his to be more palatable to the world, so you can understand why you would feel like his sexuality wouldn't be in the 1940s and 50s, which wouldn't really be open to that. Or is he more of a charismatic, narcissistic liar who forces everyone in his circle to compromise their lives to accommodate his unwillingness to live openly? Or on the flip side, is Felicia complicit in creating and protecting that bubble, or is she merely a victim of his charms? And of course, there's no hard and fast answer to that. The answer is all of the things are somewhat true, and how much you feel it is kind of up to yourself and how you perceive it. But while these questions and performances are deft, even-handed, and kind of leave it for the audience to live in and experience expertly, this is a Netflix movie after all, and like all of their awards bait movies, they essentially does suffer somewhat from being really excessive and lacking discipline in an effort to kind of throw the kitchen sink at awards voters and be every kind of movie within the 2+ hours that it goes on. You'd expect kind of epic conducting performances from Bernstein, and indeed Cooper doesn't disappoint. He throws everything he has physically into them, and I came into this movie kind of wondering, because again, I wouldn't pay attention to famous conductors, like it's just not my thing, but I was hoping the film would kind of enlighten me as to what makes someone go from being a normal conductor into being the first great American one, as they call Bernstein. And I left kind of feeling it thanks to how Cooper plays it. My only criticism of it would be that while the performances themselves are amazing in a vacuum, they don't really tie into the plot or operate as anything more than prolonged major set pieces that take us out of rather than enhance the core of the actual story itself. with musical biopics, like think for example of Bohemian Rhapsody. That was the first thing that came to mind for me, where the Live Aid recreation served as both an amazing set piece of cinema that you want to be in and you want to be in a big screen to witness it, but also it's kind of a culmination to the story where we could reappreciate the moment with the context of it being Freddie Mercury's last real major hurrah in front of the world, and kind of one more chance for the world to see him at his peak after all of his health and professional struggles that had happened previously and that we knew were ahead of him in the future. That isn't really here. Aside from the first performance serving as kind of Bernstein's breakout, we don't really get any context or significance to other performances, despite them, again, being spectacular in themselves. On the other hand, the movie is also incredibly capable of being disciplined at times. There's a prolonged argument scene where Mulligan Cooper are kind of having a row, and at one point, like, the camera just remains stationary in a room and lets them work, which could have easily been filmed in a Broadway theater. Like, so all in all, what does that contribute to? There's a lot going on here. And again, it's not one movie. There's just, again, like I said, it's the Netflix movie where they're throwing everything at it. So it is a little bit uneven. I expect it's going to get nominated for a Best Picture because it does tick a lot of the boxes. And like a Best Director will probably get in there as well because he has done a lot of directing, even if it kind of isn't consistent with what the movie is, or even if there's not one kind of solid vision here and he's trying to do a lot here. Both Cooper and Mulligan will be right in the mix for every actor award going, and that feels right. Maestro, though, for me, is definitely worth your time. It has a limited cinema release before being available on Netflix just in time for Christmas. It is a heavy movie. There is parts where you will have a cry, so just going to make sure that you're kind of in the emotional state for that. But it's worth your time. See what you think. It is for some people. It's not going to be for others, but the performances are great and really worth your time seeing that.